Hey guys, and welcome to another edition of GOAT Movies, the podcast for the simple movie lover, where we discuss movies we've recently seen and see if they have what it takes to become the next greatest of all time. What makes a GOAT movie? Is it quotable? Is it lovable? Is it any-able? I'm your host Carlos, and you'll find that out today and more. Get your history books ready, because today we're going back to World War II. Today we're reviewing Operation Finale. Hey guys, and welcome back to GOAT Movies. Today I am flying solo as I review the movie Operation Finale. It is really just sad to say that we are finally over the whole summer movie, and I know I said it the last time, but this is really, the start of these little hidden wonders. Sometimes they're hit and miss, and this is kind of just a dull season for movies in theaters. This is right before we start entering like the big November, December releases. And Operation Finale, I saw the trailer for it and was actually pretty interested in it, especially since it stars Ben Kingsley. Ben Kingsley, I was first introduced to him from one of his greatest movies, Schindler's List. I absolutely love that movie. Now, I will admit this, I can't believe that I'm actually doing this. Schindler's List is actually one of the very few movies that I actually full-blown cry, tears streaming down my face. Every single time that I watch it, I get chills at the end of that movie. It is amazing. And Ben Kingsley, he has definitely had quite the career. He played Gandhi. He was in Iron Man 3 for, our younger listeners. I doubt that people know who Gandhi is now, especially these crazy millennials who come up with terms like GOAT. Anyways, just kidding, guys. But yeah, I really enjoy Ben Kingsley's movies. I think he's very selective of the roles that he plays. And I really think that actors that do stuff like that can either really make or break their careers, because if one of those selected few roles tanks, they're screwed. But I was really interested to see Ben Kingsley in this role as he portrays Adolf Eichmann. Playing one side of the spectrum of saving all these Jews to the complete polar opposite of slaughtering millions of Jews had to be a real conundrum for Ben Kingsley in this role. I would assume that it would take its toll on you as an actor, to play one side and then the other. Or maybe it was very insightful. I don't know. I would love to get some insight on that. While we're on the subject, I don't know what it is about World War II that just intrigues so many people, me being one of them. I think it's just the fact that it is a horrible stain on our history that we can never get rid of. And we definitely don't want to forget those atrocities, and I would never hope that would have to happen again. But, anytime I see documentaries on it on Discovery or the History Channel, I am automatically enraptured by it and just amazed by the capability of humans and what they are capable of. But not only that, what human beings are capable of overcoming. But, that's for another podcast. Back to Operation Finale, another great actor in this movie, Oscar Isaac. A lot of people know him from the new Star Wars films. I don't get what the great big deal is about this guy. I don't think that he's a horrible actor, but he hasn't done a role that has just really made me just, for lack of a better word, fall in love with this guy. I don't think he's a horrible actor. He just hasn't earned his stripes, such as Ben Kingsley has. Jack Nicholson, he's earned his stripes. Sad to say, Tom Cruise has earned his stripes. I don't really like any of his movies. But I just haven't seen anything worthwhile for Oscar Isaac. I'm not saying he's a horrible actor. I just haven't seen anything that I've liked of his. Melanie Laurent, she's in this movie. You might remember her from her other World War II movie, Inglourious Basterds. I would honestly say she probably earned a stripe, not multiple stripes. But, anytime you're working with the great Quentin Tarantino, I just love a lot of his movies. I'm not one for blood and gore, and I know that that's a contradictory comment when talking about Quentin Tarantino and his films, but I just love the way that he's able to get that rawness of the human spirit and the human emotion and just how dark people can really get. It's scary, but yet interesting, and I don't know. People are going to think that I need to get checked into a psychiatric hospital or something, which a lot of people already think I do. So, anyways, you might actually still remember her from Now You See Me. That is another movie that she came out, and I just love her French accent. She's a beautiful, beautiful woman. She did a really amazing job in this movie. You know, this is a movie that was directed by Chris White. Of course, it's 2 hours long. This one's actually 2 hours and 2 minutes long. Wow. I mean, definitely a movie that can definitely be shortened, but we'll get into that after we, issue our spoiler alert. This movie is rated PG-13, so there really isn't a lot to worry about in this movie. In other words, if you're looking for an action-packed film, this is not it. That is not why it's rated PG-13. But let's get our rating system right out of the way. For those of you new to GOAT movies, shame on you. You should have been here sooner. Just kidding. We have a rating system here where we grade our movies on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the absolutely worst movie ever, not worth your time to even go and bootleg. By the way, we do not endorse bootlegging in this podcast because we respect the movie-making careers and the movie-making world, so don't ever go bootleg. But, that being said, 1 is the absolutely worst score that you can score here, 10 being the absolutely best movie ever. You should go watch it immediately, drop what you're doing, and go see that, and then come back and listen to this podcast. But... anyways, on a scale of 1 to 10, and we have 0.5 that we can give out, just to sometimes give it that little extra oomph. But for this movie, I am actually going to rate this movie as a 7.0. Unfortunately, it was too long in the beginning. There are some storylines in this movie that just kind of start, and you wonder throughout the movie what the hell's going on. What happened to this or what happened to that? What did that have to do with anything? And then really the movie gets started right in the middle towards the end of the movie. That's when things actually get good, and this is when a movie actually turns around and actually gets you as a movie watcher. So the other thing about it, and I don't think that this had an impact on my score, just because I try to filter all that out. I went and saw this movie, and there was a couple right next to me. I mean, homeboy was right on top of me, and his wife would not shut the hell up. She was talking throughout the entire movie, and her husband kept telling her to shut up, and she wouldn't. Anytime anything happened on the screen, oh my gosh, what was that? Oh my gosh, what is going on? Who is that? What happened? I thought this person was this, and I thought this person was that. It was awful. And I was that passive aggressive, and homegirl would not shut up. And I'm not one for confrontation. I don't want to get up and tell them to shut up. But then homeboy starts looking at his cell phone, and that bright light, I couldn't imagine. It was just awful. Now, these people were older than I. They were probably mid-70s. So I guess that's another reason that I really didn't say anything to them. But it was just driving me insane. And they kept calling the waiter over, and they kept asking for more and more stuff. Can you bring me salt? Can you bring me napkins? Can you bring me a spoon? Can you bring me water? Can you bring me oranges? Can you bring me this? Can you bring me that? And I just wanted to tell the waiter, please disconnect their button or something, because this was awful. I kept trying to just move past it. So I really try to filter that out. Like I've said before, I think your movie-going experience is definitely impacted by those around you. So I really like World War II movies and World War II documentaries and stuff like that, which is why I think I gave it the score that I did. But all that being said, the movie really gets going halfway through. The beginning portion of it was great, but it just took too long and a lot of it didn't make sense. The movie really picks up halfway through. I really want to dive into the spoilers with you guys, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get these people to shut the hell up. And we will play the trailer for Operation Finale, after which we will go in deep about this movie and issue our spoiler alert. So without further ado, here you go, Operation Finale trailer.
You have no interest in what I have to say. Unless it confirms what you think you already know. My job was simple. Save the country I love from being destroyed. Is your job any different?
I have a lead on the great enemy of our people.
Adolf Eichmann.
The architect of the final solution?
The trail went cold in 46. Latest intelligence suggests Buenos Aires. This guy convinced rabbis to load the trains themselves. And not by force. If it is him, we need an elite crew.
I'm not joining your hit squad.
I would happily put a bullet in between his eyes, but that's not what we're doing here. This is strictly catch and extract.
Eichmann will stand trial here in Israel.
Think what it means. Finally, publicly, holding to account the man who organized our slaughter.
Our memory reaches back through recorded history. The book of memory still lies open, and you here now are the hand that holds the pen. If you succeed, for the first time in our history, we will judge our executioner, and we will warn off any who may wish to follow his example. If you fail, he escapes justice, perhaps forever. I beg you, do not fail.
And there you have it. Operation Finale now in theaters. 2 hours and 2 minutes long, PG-13. So now that we can dive deep into this, I want to go ahead and issue our spoiler alert.
Red alert!
If you don't want the movie ruined for you, go ahead and pause the podcast now, because anything we discuss from here on out is fair game. So I just want to remind everybody that we're not going to be talking about the movie from start to finish. I've learned that a lot of you guys don't really like that. If you've listened to this podcast and you came back, then you've already seen the movie, or you have no interest of watching the movie. So why would you even want to know about the movie going forward? You just want to hear the insights and really what I think about certain parts of it. So right off the bat, we're going to start at the end. If you've seen the movie Argo with Ben Affleck, which I absolutely love that movie, I think it could have done better with somebody other than Ben Affleck, but, you know, you take the good with the bad. If you've seen the movie Argo, then you've actually seen the ending of this movie. Am I the only one who thinks that that was a total ripoff from the movie? Or did Argo rip it off from this true story event? Because both of these movies were based on actual events. You know, the whole thing where the airplane was on the tarmac and they're waiting and they only have this one window of, 15 seconds or 15 minutes that they have to actually take off, and Oscar Isaac has to run off the plane and run up to the tower. Who was the guy that stole the documents that cleared them for takeoff? Who was that? What happened to him? I mean, obviously these are Nazi sympathizers, and I guess the Nazi regime is now trying to build itself up back from where they were in Germany. Now they're in Argentina or something like that. I didn't really get that whole thing. And then as Oscar Isaac is watching, as his love is now taking off in the airplane and the mission has succeeded, it was all just kind of, what the hell is going on? But this is really the most action that we've seen throughout the entire movie. This is really where the movie picked up its pace. One thing I really didn't understand was, I guess she's like the housemaid that is helping these people out as they're in the safe house. She's watching as they are hiding the money into that little hole. So is she a Nazi sympathizer, or is she just looking to make a quick buck? Because all of a sudden she hands the money over to somebody to convert it into pesos, which I thought was kind of weird. And this is how they end up finding the house, because they start torturing her and they start, you know, going after these Jewish people who are there to kidnap Adolf. And the other thing that I didn't understand about this whole movie is the dynamic between Oscar Isaac's character and Ben Kingsley's character. It really got me thinking, you know, and we hear it in the trailer, that we're not going to hear what we don't want to hear. And that's kind of true. throughout the movie, he starts talking about how he all of a sudden was trying to save the Jews, and that he was trying to come up with different ideas on how to get rid of the Jews, but that no other country wanted them, and that the death of all these Jews was not his idea. It was just the only option that he had after his initial ideas failed. It just makes you kind of wonder if that is true, or if he was just trying to say that to gain sympathy from Oscar Isaac's character. The thing about it is that Oscar Isaac and Ben Kingsley in this movie had some great dialogue. And you go into this movie thinking of Adolf Eichmann as Satan himself, as just this person who deserves to rot and has anything that is coming to him, he deserves it for everything that he did. And he plays these mind games with Oscar Isaac, and I found myself arguing with myself, like really thinking about this, are we biased towards this guy because we know that he was working for Adolf Hitler? And the fact that his name is Adolf Eichmann and this, Hitler was Adolf as well, I don't think that really plays in his favor. But if we're going into this with a biased opinion, are we really going to listen to him? Can he really stand a fair trial anywhere? If he stands trial in Germany and they get a lot of, Germans and Nazi sympathizers, he's going to walk away with the murder of millions. If they do it in Israel like they did, spoiler alert, this whole thing was actually televised, and this was the world's first chance of actually seeing the effects of World War II and the Holocaust. And to see firsthand experience about the atrocities that happened during that time. And there's a little glimpse of that towards the end of the movie. I really like it when directors do that, so thank you for that. But are we really biased? Can we really believe that this guy, despite everything that he did, is he saying this just to save his own skin? And so those mind games that Ben Kingsley played with Oscar Isaac, I actually fell into it. And so, not to say that I'm a Nazi sympathizer, because I'm not. Those were horrendous, atrocious things that happened, and he got what he deserved. But in the moment, as you're watching the movie, I want to know if you guys fell into those mind games as well. It was really, really interesting. And the thing about it is that, I don't know, there's a scene where Oscar Isaac and Ben Kingsley, they're starting to drug him up, they're trying to sedate him, and he starts picking at Oscar Isaac, and he starts like, yeah, I did it, yeah. And as I'm thinking about it, he knew that it was over. It was game over for him. They were gonna succeed. He knew it. And I feel like maybe he had just accepted his fate. But rather than go out and stand trial and either go before the firing brigade or to be hung in a public forum like he was, I think he just wanted a simple death, which would be, these drugs. If they overdose him, he could go into cardiac arrest and, quick and painless. So was that another mind game? Or was he showing his true colors? This is the type of stuff that really intrigued me towards the end of the movie, where I started thinking about this type of stuff. Was he really, was he just like, it, never mind, you're a Jew, you should go down, and I'm going to piss you off as much as I can, and I'm going to bring that anger out in you. Much like in Star Wars, where the Emperor just wants him to unleash his rage. Funny that we're talking about Star Wars, Oscar Isaac being in Star Wars. But I just feel like that's what Ben Kingsley was trying to go after. He just kind of realized, you know what? I tried playing mind games with you. They didn't work. Now we're on our way to Jerusalem, and I'm screwed. So I don't know. Like, this is the dilemma that I've been struggling with since I saw the movie. The entire first part of the movie was kind of weird. The way that we're introduced to Oscar Isaac, I got some motion sickness out of it because that camera is just jiggling everywhere. And I didn't really understand who this woman was that we kept seeing throughout the entire movie. At first, I thought it was Oscar Isaac's wife. Then I started thinking, well, maybe because of how young Oscar Isaac is in this movie, maybe it's his mother and he survived. But then we see, the baby. And the thing about it is that it's not until the end that we find out that it's his sister. And so, it was just really weird for me. And I understand why they would have it as a recurring theme throughout the entire movie, but it was just kind of confusing in the beginning. And it wasn't until he handed his mother the fixed frame of Fauna that I was like, oh, okay, that does it. I didn't really pay attention the first time, when the mom breaks the picture the first time. Maybe thanks to the elderly couple that were sitting next to me, I was distracted and I couldn't understand what the hell was going on with the movie. But I think a lot of scenes could have been taken out. The whole thing with the girl that was dating Klaus and that they were in love, but then he turns out to be a Nazi and then she's Jewish, and, all that was so weird. And the whole mushroom scene that, they grow up like mushrooms. And then the priest that's like Heil Hitler and stuff like that in the Jewish meeting with them where he actually takes his love. I just thought that was all kind of like, what the hell is going on? And then he brings him to meet his father. And he's like, I can't believe you just walked out on me on that party. You get out of here and this and that. And then you have Ben Kingsley who starts chokeholding his son. And don't you dare talk to her like that. Again, that's part of the mind games that I was dealing with, where it's like, okay, does Ben Kingsley know that she's Jewish? And like, what is going on here? But that whole storyline, I didn't understand. The other storyline that I didn't understand was the love affair, if you want to call it that, or the love interest between Oscar Isaac and Lauren. It was just so weird, because that there's a history there, but they didn't really explain it, and they kind of fall in love all over again. And that Laurent is dealing with the fact that she killed somebody on accident, doing the same thing that they're doing right now with Ben Kingsley's character. So what we don't understand, or at least if they explained it and I just missed it, I don't know if Oscar Isaac was involved with that first operation. And so, I don't know. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed the movie from the middle on. The entire first half of this movie was really weird. I think they could have cut a lot of the scenes out. But if you are a World War II enthusiast, if you like learning about World War II and this kind of intrigues you, the way that one of my friends said it is that we're like the chisme, the gossip. That's why we're so intrigued into this whole thing, because we just want to know what's going on. It's not that we condone these types of actions, but we just want to know what happened in the thought process. If you like World War II, if you like Ben Kingsley, if you like Oscar Isaac, you'll definitely enjoy this movie. If you like Oscar Isaac, please email me, because I don't get what the big deal is about him. Ben Kingsley, absolutely. Melanie Laurent, as I've been calling her, Laurent, she is, I just love her. I'd love to see more of her movies. I just love that French accent of hers. So she's definitely somebody that I look forward to seeing in other movies. But yeah, all in all, this movie, like I said, I'm giving it a 7.0. I honestly don't think the fact that I had the two elderly couple next to me talking throughout the whole thing ruin it for me. I don't think that has any impact on my score for this movie, but definitely, guys, turn off your cell phones, and if not, at least lower the brightness. I'm sure that Homeboy didn't know how to even lower it. I don't even know what he was looking for. It was ridiculous, and he was legitimately on top of me. I'm a big guy, and I know I take up a lot of room, but, these chairs are, we're in these office chairs that you swivel around in, so I've got plenty of room. I scoot over and everything, but Homeboy was legit on top of me, and the theater was not that full. So yeah, like I said, I'm giving this a 7.0. Definitely a movie that if you absolutely have to get out this weekend, if you absolutely have to go see a movie, it's not going to be a bad choice. I think you might like it. It's going to take a little bit for it to build up, but once it actually does, you'll actually enjoy it. Otherwise, I'd probably just wait until it hits the dollar theaters, or, this is definitely going to be a movie that's going to be on, like, TNT or TBS or, one of the History channels. All in all, 7.0. That's going to do it for this edition of Goat Movies. I really appreciate you guys coming back. Please remember to comment, share, rate this podcast so that we can build up our following and that we can get more and more content on this. If you or anyone you know wants to be a guest on the show, all you have to do is shoot us an email over at goatmoviespc@gmail.com. That's goatmoviespc@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at goatmoviespc. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next week, guys.